When you go outside and you get to the top and it's a little bit windy and you're in heels and not in leggings and you're in little short shorts, all of a sudden your palms get really sweaty. You're like, I've made a grave mistake. But it was so much fun.
What's up, friends? It's your girl, Emily Curl, coming to you from New York City, and we're at our iHeartRadio headquarters. I am so excited for our interview today. We have Dua Lipa here. Dua's in the building! And this is so great, Dua. It's so nice to see you again.
It's so good to see you too. I'm so happy to be here.
I was thinking the last time I saw you was in 2020, and you were actually one of my very first interviews.
I was?
iHeart, yes.
No way.
And I remember being so nervous and so excited.
No, you weren't nervous at all. You were amazing.
Thank you. But it was so funny. This was like pre-pandemic, pre-Future Nostalgia. The album hadn't dropped yet.
Yeah, it was just like the first kind of bit of promo that I started doing before everything shut down. Madness.
And now, like, the evolution, like, you as an artist, it's just been amazing to watch your journey unfold.
Thank you.
Let's start with this year alone. You perform at the Brits, at the Grammys, you're on Time's 100 Most Influential People list, and now you're dropping a whole album. Your schedule must be nonstop. Do you thrive in the chaos? What does that look like for you?
I love a busy schedule, but I feel like, it's like organized chaos. So I know when everything's happening, and then I make sure that I have some time to go out for dinner and hang out with friends and, chill. So make the most of it.
You have some time in New York because your new album is getting ready to drop. So Radical Optimism is coming, which we are so excited. I know we're all like, it's such a highly anticipated album. Let's start with the title for one. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about Radical Optimism. How do we land on this title?
So Radical Optimism was a term that was brought to me through a friend of mine. We were having a conversation. He was just like, you know what the world needs? He goes, radical optimism. And I was like, oh, that's such an interesting thing to say. And I just kind of lived with that phrase for a really long time, and it just became more and more prevalent as time went on. And when I started writing for the album, all I thought about was radical optimism and this kind of idea of resilience and rolling with the punches, and when things don't really go your way, how you kind of pick yourself back up and carry on. And that was really something that just stayed with me.
I heard this new term, which I fell in love with, radical.
Whoa, I love that.
I know.
Optimism. That's exactly what we need in the world. I felt like so many different things are happening in my life, whether it was tour or different changes or, work relationships would change or friendships or whatever, that it was just like, okay, some things just are supposed to happen that way. And some things you can't fight, but it's like, how do you move on? How do you progress from that? And so radical optimism just became more and more important to me.
Happiness is so important. Happiness is something that we all deserve.
Radical optimism was always something that was on the top of my mind.
So I just never ended up changing the title. It just stayed that way.
And so we also heard that you had been planning this album since your first album, that you had this idea. Was that where Radical Optimism was born, or did it start from another seed of something and that's sort of what the idea came from?
Really, I'm always planning and thinking about different ideas. And when I was working my first record, I just had it in my head that I really wanted to work with Kevin Parker from Tame Impala. Just such a fan of him and Tame Impala and their first record, Currents. And I was just like, oh, that's somebody who I'd really love to collaborate with. Something in my heart just kind of told me that was like a direction that I wanted to explore. But I also felt like I had to earn the experimentalism, I had to earn it to get to this place where I could just spend time in the studio and just kind of free fall and see what comes out of it. And I think with dreams like that, you never really know if you're going to have creative chemistry with someone. And it just exceeded my expectations, just being in a room and working with Kevin and Danny, Tobias and Caroline. And everyone's got such different personalities and different kind of creative references that when we came together, we were all just kind of working on this new world. Tobias Joseph Jr., Kevin Carker, Caroline Eileen, Danny Hall, the rave consultant.
Right.
Making it out! It was a blast, and it exceeded all my expectations. Like the first song we wrote together in June 2022 was Illusion, and then the second one was the next day was Happy for You, and then after that was What You're Doing, and we ended up getting 3 songs for the album. And we're like, okay, so I think
Insane
this
to
is
me. You're
working.
like, this is great. Yeah, the creative chemistry
And
is
so
there.
maybe we should keep hanging out and going to the studio some more and writing some more together. And it just progressed to the point where we were just like, okay, this is the band.
How quickly did you
And,
know? Yeah, how quickly did you know everything that was going to be on the album? Those songs written in 3 days. Like, did it just happen so naturally with the entire album?
It was just a feeling. I mean, I started writing in February 2021, and that was before I'd gone on tour for Future Nostalgia. I was still kind of figuring out where I was going next. And I think because I hadn't quite yet come to like the end of the Future Nostalgia chapter, that I wasn't really quite getting to where I was supposed to be going next. And so while I was on tour, then in the in-betweens of all the stints, I would go into the studio and write, and that's when things just started really kind of revealing themselves musically and lyrically. Yeah, Illusion was kind of the eureka moment. It was like, okay, I feel like I'm getting to where I want to be. And then by the end of that week, I really knew where I was heading.
Yeah, you're like,
And I was like, all right, let's put some more time in. This is like, I finished this leg of tour. Let's see if we can put this time in together. And we just kept writing.
Let's talk about Illusion for a second, because you just shared on Instagram the behind the scenes of filming the music video. First off, I'm scared of heights. I could never. I was blown away.
It was so high. And I'm always like the kind of person who just goes, yeah, I'm down for any experience.
Okay, so in the room, you're like, I'll do whatever, I'm ready.
Yeah, I'm always up for a challenge and any extreme sport. But I remember going into the rehearsals and seeing the height of the tower and being like, oh my God, I can't believe I've signed up for this. And I just got up onto the electric, lift almost to get me to the top, and I had to be harnessed in, and I was just like, okay, this is fine. But at that point we were inside in a warehouse. So like the variables weren't changing as much. When you go outside and you get to the top and it's a little bit windy and you're in heels and not in leggings and you're in little short shorts, all of a sudden your palms get really sweaty. You're like, I've made a great mistake. But it was so much fun, and it was so safe as well. But it was it was an experience for sure.
Have you always been a bit of an adrenaline junkie?
Massively.
Really?
Like I love it. I think just the rush and the excitement. I mean, there are some things that I probably wouldn't do, like skydiving.
But you'll go to the top, but you won't skydive?
I don't know. I'm just like, that's just one step too far,
Yeah. So are you already planning like your next video of how you're going to top that one? How you're going to top
it won't
Illusion?
be skydiving. But I'm thinking about the next single for sure, and trying to think of what that video is going to look like, but I haven't got anything concrete just yet.
So still planning.
Yeah.
I want to go back to the track list for a second, because I did think this was interesting. You open the album with a track called End of an Era. Mm-hmm. So I was curious, like, with opening with a statement of closure, is that symbolic in a way?
Yeah, definitely. It was intentional to start with something called End of an Era. It's like, a rebirth, the beginning of something new, the end of something. It's a very hopeful and fun song, End of an Era. Definitely like the hopeless romantic. Mm-hmm. And the closing track is Happy for You, and that's when I really kind of come full circle in, maturing and growing from an experience and seeing it from a different perspective and seeing it with a lot of love and respect. And I think things end for a reason, and I think there's no point in having any kind of negative feelings towards that, because everything leads you to where you're supposed to go next.
Yeah. So a lot of the album is derived from personal experiences.
All of it.
Wow.
All of it, yeah. It's been like a real cathartic experience writing for this album for a year and a half. It's like a real Dear Diary. So I'm excited. I'm also excited to have it be out and
I'm
close
so
that
excited.
chapter and carry on with my life.
End of an era.
Yeah, End of an Era for sure.
Okay, do a fill in the blank. You can't write a great song without
writing some bad ones.
Okay, so you have a lot that didn't make the album.
For sure. I feel like I always have to write myself into a good idea, and sometimes I just have to get the bad ones out there.
That's so funny.
Yeah, for
How do you
sure.
know what's something special? Like, what's your telltale sign that you're like, okay, I like this one?
I don't know. It's a feeling. It's the lyrical content that I connect with, the production that makes me feel excited, that feels different from something that I've already heard. Yeah, it's a gut instinct.
We were talking about the collaborators that you worked with. I also just want to give a moment to like all your collaborators, like your styling, the choreography, everything just feels like you're reaching new heights and new levels.
Oh, thank
What's
you.
it like working with a team like that? And anyone that you want to give like a special shout out to?
Choreography-wise, I really want to shout out my choreographer, Charm LaDonna. But alongside that, she has an incredible team. I want to shout out Sharon June and also Sammy Jane, who both of them were my dancers on my last tour, and they've also like leveled up and they've gone into more of the assisting role with Charm, and they're really like the girls that I lean on for so much support. And it's just such a big part of my performance and the way that I'm like portraying myself in these videos, and they're really my backbone. So I'm really grateful to the Gal Gang, and also just like my everyday Gal Gang on the management side. I have a really big team of girls, which is really fun.
I love that. I love hearing that.
It's amazing because they all just they keep things moving. You know, they make sure that I'm where I need to be on time. They're honest. They're there for support. They give me like just the best advice, and I wouldn't be able to do all my everyday navigating without them. And my dad.
Oh!
And my dad, because he's my manager, and he's like the best gal dad ever.
Oh my God, I'd love to see it.
Yeah, he's amazing. So.
And speaking of your busy schedule, you're about to do double duty on SNL.
Yeah.
How do you feel getting ready for those performances?
So nervous and so excited. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. It's just a new experience, and I'm just ready to throw myself into it.
We can't wait to watch. We're so excited for the album.
Thank
Dua
you.
Lipa, everyone, in our studio.
Thank
This is
you.
so cool. Thank you so much for your time, Dua. We so appreciate it.
Thank
We're
you so much
excited.
for having me.
Thanks so much for watching. Did you like that video? You can check out more over here, and don't forget to subscribe to iHeart right here. And if you're already a longtime fan, make sure you ring the bell down below so you don't miss a single video. See you next time.